Hello and welcome to this shootout between the Fender 15G, the Katana Mini and the Joyo DC-15, otherwise known as the famed DC-15. They cover a lot of sonic ground between them and they're quite different. So I will first of all talk through all the specs, talk through some of my opinions, and then we'll get straight into the sound demo. So the Fender Frontman 15G is a very solid sort of budget amp, kind of beginner amp you could say, but it's also quite good if you're just sort of doing a bit of band practice, playing in a live environment. In fact, this thing with its 15 watts and its 8-inch speaker can actually go surprisingly loud and will really annoy your neighbours if you want to at home. I only ever set it to about between kind of 3 and 2 and that's plenty for home use. Otherwise you can go really loud with this thing. So it's got the functionality of the aux in as well, it's got the headphones, but there isn't a lot more going on with this. It does have the gain distortion sort of mode. I'd call it drive really, it's not distortion so much, but it kind of sounds like a distortion. Fender aren't really known for their distortion sounds particularly, and this one's no different. It doesn't sound totally brilliant, but it does accept pedals fairly well, this amp. So it can go loud, accepts pedals. What I would say with this one, the main disadvantage or something that you just need to know is the best way of getting the most from the amp is actually turning this quite far up to 7 or 8 if you have an effects pedal connected, and then you control the amp volume with your effects pedal. If you don't do that with this particular amp, you will lose all of the nice tone. On the very lowest settings, once you get down to 2 or 1, all of the tone of the amp is pretty much lost on this one. So I would advise that's the way you use it. So that's that one. Boss Katana Mini is a surprisingly cool amp. You can see, if I just do that, you can see the size difference. This thing really is small. It's no bigger than really, it's not much bigger than a kind of a DVD and a half or so, and it's extremely light and portable. This might even, if you're lucky, if you've got one big enough, fit into your gig bag. That's how small it is. So it has that portability factor. Will you ever be playing this live or in a jam setting or in a band setting, jamming and all that stuff? I don't know. I can't really see it with this one, to be honest. It just doesn't really go loud enough. It can go surprisingly loud, but this one's got it beat in the volume department by a country mile. Where this wins is the portability and surprising volume and clarity and good sound you can get out of this out of such a small box. It does have some built-in effects if you like, as opposed to the Fender which has 0 built-in effects. It's got the delay, you can adjust the time and level. It's also got a rather nice, the bass, middle, treble equalizer on here, same as the Fender, which is good. Volume, gain, you've got a brown, a crunch and a clean. Now you also do, on the back here, you have phones rec out and you have an aux in. So you can plug in, much as you would here, aux in, although it's got a different connection, so you might need to get more connections on this one depending on what you've got. You could plug in like, your CD, MP3 player, what have you, into either of these to jam along to, which is quite a cool feature. And the gain on this, I think, actually does really should we say kick butt. It's really cool, actually, the gain on this. This one really wants to scream. That's its happy place. If you turn all the way up, turn the gain up and the volume, you can get some really lovely screeching stuff out of this one. All your pinch harmonics, all of that good stuff. This is your go-to. And it does sound really cool for that. So the Joyo is a bit of a different beast. It is surprisingly heavy. It's a really dense unit, this one, and I was pleasantly surprised when I picked this up. So as I say, this is the Joyo / Fame DC-15. All of these are around about, say, depending on where you can find them, say 70 to 100 euros, pounds, dollars. So that's the kind of ballpark we're talking. This does actually have multiple effects and amps that you can choose. So the amps here, you've got DC clean, you've got clean, tube screamer, blues, crunch, lead, rhythm and metal. Your mileage will vary on those. I actually quite the JC clean with a bit of reverb sounds really nice on this. It actually sounds really high quality. I'm very surprised it doesn't. This one, of all of them at the moment, I would say, is probably my favourite actually for practicing with, because at low volume, this still sounds really good. And unlike the Boss Katana Mini, which it does, unfortunately, it is a great amp and I love it, but it does sound still like a small box, because that's what it is. Whereas this, you'll get into the territory of a bit slightly bigger unit, but it makes a big difference in terms of the sound. It actually does sound like a proper amplifier, this. And this one really can go up in volume too. This one can get quite loud. Maybe not as loud as the Frontman, because it's got a smaller speaker as well. This one's got a 6-inch speaker. That's 6-inch speaker, 4-inch speaker, 8-inch speaker. And it does make a difference. It does make a difference, it really does. What I love about this one as well is the convenience of all the effects. Obviously the Fender doesn't have any, apart from a drive setting, if you call that an effect really. That's got a delay on it, and obviously you can do your gain, etc. This one has got your delay, reverb, chorus, flanger, phaser and tremolo, and you can mix and match to your heart's content. Obviously you can either only choose delay or reverb, and then you can have one of these effects on this here too. The other feature it does have is rhythm. So you can actually, it's got several drum kits on here. I think the total is about 36. I mean, frankly, you're probably going to use one or two. And you can cycle through those. You've got the tempo that you can change, and you've got the volume there as well of the drums. And they're not too bad. They're very useful to jam with, which is why this has really become my go-to. I really do like this. Maybe it's a fairly underrated amp. I'm not sure that Joyo is still making this one, but it is under the Fame banner for sure. I've seen it online. And what have you got here? On the back, you have got, I'll just flip it around for you. We've got the aux in again, and we've got the phones. So again, nothing too fancy, nothing too special in terms of inputs and outputs. But there you go. Enough about all of that. And what I will do is get to a sound demo, and yeah, you can see what you think.